Hi everyone, it's Kathy here from Delbello's Designs, and today we're going to be recreating some sympathy cards. Now these are quite hard cards to do. They're probably one of the least favourite cards people make because they're not for very happy occasions. So what I try to do is get some in advance and do like a block session where I make quite a few so that they're there when I need them and I don't have to make them if I'm feeling a little bit sad. Right, so the ones we're going to be making today are the ones, I'm making 5 for this video, so it's slightly longer than usual video, and I'm going to show you some examples of another 3 or 4 that we're not going to do today, but you can see them and get the general gist. So the first one we're going to be doing is the one with the poppies, and a lot of these have got the panels across the centre, so I think they're quite effective for this type of card. So we're going to do the poppies ones first, and then we're going to do this one which says with love and sympathy with some brightly coloured flowers, and then we're going to do one with the honeysuckle, again with love and sympathy, and the next one is a floral wreath with some stenciling in the background, subtle stenciling, and the last one we're going to be doing is another panel card, but this time it's a coloured panel, and I did this with pan pastels and lavender. But you can do it with any, if you don't have pan pastels, you can do it with any sort of ink. It's the same effect. So they're the cards that we're going to be doing. Here's a couple more examples. I use the dandelion and the silhouette flowers in this one. Again, I use the honeysuckle stamp there across a panel, and I happen to have this sentiment in my stash. Sometimes there are no words, which is quite appropriate. And another panel card with some stenciling in the background and some coloured flowers. So those ones we're not going to do, they're just examples, and these are the ones we're going to crack on with today. So I'm going to start with this poppy card first. So I'm going to show you all of the items I've used for all of these cards before we start. So for the stamping, we've got Versafine Clair Nocturne, Shady Lane, Monarch, Glamorous, Warm Breeze, Verdant, and Green Oasis. Got some Sweet Poppy stencil tape, and we have a couple of Elements inks in Merlot and Violet chalk. I have a lilac pan pastel, stencil brush for the stenciling, and a pan pastel brush for that particular one. I've got a variety of pastel pencils and some watercolour pens in various colours to coordinate. And lastly, the stamps we're going to use. I've got a stencil that I can't remember the name of this one, but I will find out and put it in the details underneath this tutorial for you. So one stencil, LAV 835 Fairy Catkins, and I'm going to use the one on the left and the 2 in the centre. LAV 093 Lavender, Hanging Lanterns, LAV 360, Forest Leaf, LAV 845, the Honeysuckle, LAV 109, Field Grass, LAV 197, and the Heartfelt Verses, LAV 677. And you can use, you know, for sympathy cards, you can use 3 of them apart from the birthday. Right, so they're all the items we're going to be needing. So we're going to start, like I say, with the poppy card first. So for this card, I've got a piece of, I think in fact, probably for all of the cards, I think it's the same measurements. It's approximately 4 inches by 6 inches white multifarious card, and some backing card that is 6.25 inches by 4.25 inches, and then we'll put that on a piece of card once folded is 5 by 7. So I'll start with this one. I'm going to use a piece of the Sweet Poppy low tack tape, and then I'm just going to use my eye. You can measure it if you want to, but I just like to do it by sight, and I'm going to do it approximately in the centre. Doesn't matter if it's not totally in the centre. And I'm pressing that down a bit so ink won't go behind it, and I'm tucking those behind so that I can turn my card when I'm working. So I'm going to start with the grass stamp. Now with this I want 3 on one side and 2 on the other. So I put, oh sorry, I need a piece of torn copy paper, just so that I don't go over the edge. So this side I'm going to have 3, so I'll put that one in first, that one in second, that one in third. I'm going to flip it round, and this one is going to be sort of in between those two, so that one's going to be there, that one's going to be there. And I do advise you, if you're using the coloured inks, to quickly wipe off any excess ink, because you'll see that some of mine are stained where I've not cleaned them off quickly enough. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the poppies. I'm going to stamp these in red, in the Glamorous. This time I want 3 on here, so I'm going to do those ones in the centre. Those ones to the side. Oops, let's just take that bit off the side there. And that one to go there. And turn it around. On there. And that one there. Oopsie, wrong lid. There we go. Right, now if you have a black fine liner pen, if you want to, you don't have to do this, but I try to do the stems in black. I mean, you can leave them red. I just think it's a little bit more detail. I think that one will have to be a bit thicker. And carefully peel this off. And then we can have a sentiment. Do mine diagonally on there because I'm going to do that sentiment in green. And then just place that in the centre. There. So now I'm going to glue that down and put it on the card. And there. Glue there. That's the first one done. They are quite quick cards to do, and some of them, if you want to, when you've got the tape, you can actually draw a line along them, which is what I'm going to do with this one. So I don't need that green anymore. I need the Warm Breeze, that green, and purple. So again, I'm going to have a piece of tape. It's just an old black mark on there. I don't know where it's come from. It can stay. So there we go. So this time, before we do anything else, I'm going to find an appropriate pencil. This one will do. And I'm just going to draw a line. Now, because this is a pastel pencil, I don't have to do it really straight because I'm obviously going to blend it. But if you were using a normal colouring pencil, I would suggest maybe using a ruler or something and making sure it's very straight. But as this blends, it doesn't quite matter. There you go. Right, so this time I'm going to be starting with the forest leaf, I think. Appropriate block. And the verdant. And I just want to do that at a slight angle. One side. And an angle this side. And the same across the other side here, the other end. 2 diagonal leaves. Okay. A quick wipe. So next we're going to have the hanging lanterns. I'm going to do that in a warm breeze. I'll do it like so. And that one like so. Turn it round. There. Turn it round a bit, and one there. And lastly, I'm going to have a little bit of the lavender. And I'm going to do this one in purple. On that side. Come on that way. Turn it around. There we go. Now with these, I'm just going to colour in parts of the dots. I'm just going to get a green pen and colour in the leaves. That's all the colouring done. Just going to take off the tape carefully. And then we're going to have the same sentiment on this one, and we're going to have it in Warm Breeze. There we go. Let's just stick that down. Card number 2 done. And next we're going to do this one. Right, so this particular card, we haven't used any masking tape. I've got a bit of glue there, unfortunately, just now. So I'm going to use the Catkin stamp. There we go. I'm going to stamp this in Monarch. I want it to go sort of halfway up the card, like so. And quickly wipe that off. And then we have our 2 little ones down the bottom here. Like so. We need our sympathy quote. We'll do that one in Nocturne. And now we're going to use the stencil. These over, so I want the Merlot. And I'm going to try and take off lots of this because I just want it subtle. So I'm taking some off on the glass, and now I'm going to take some off on the paper too. And then we're just going to position your stencil where you want it. I'm just going to have a little bit of stenciling. Very light. I'm barely pressing it on the paper. Very light. There we go. There we go. And done. And now we just need to paint colour the little buds in. Right, and now I'm just going to stick this onto my purple backing card. I'm going to stick this onto the white card and then we'll move on to the last one. Card number 3. Actually, I've got 2 more to do. I'm going to be doing this one next, which is the pan pastel background. So for this one, I've got 2 pieces of masking tape. So move up about 2/3. I want it out there. I'm going to move that one up here then. Normally I have 3 pieces, but I didn't get 3 pieces ready, so it's going to go about there. Actually, I'm going to lower that down a little bit more than that one. Don't want it quite as big as how I had it. And then it didn't look straight. That's better. Tuck that behind. Right, and this, again, like I say, if you don't have pan pastels, you can use distress oxides, elements, inks, something else. But I'm just going to use a piece of this now. It's a bit messy. Straight away. Start with a clean sheet. Right, I can take the top one off now. And I'm just going to put that on the bottom there so it protects the bottom. Right, so first we're going to do some lavender. I'm going to start with it upright in the corner and I'll gradually work round. So that's your lavender done. And next, just going to use a pencil. Some bits of grass. There is a Lavinia grass stamp you could use for this. I didn't have it to hand, so I'm just drawing little blades of grass. I'm going to take the bottom one off. Like so. And again, we're just going to have our sentiment. Actually, I think I'm going to change the sentiment on this one. I'm going to have with love, I think. Just for you. A bit of ink on my corner. So we're just going to have just for you in the corner there. This is the beauty of simple stamps. you can batch make them quite easily. And they look quite effective too. Oops, put them back. Card number 4. And the last card we're going to do is this honeysuckle. So I'm going to get my honeysuckle stamp, and I'm going to stamp this in Shady Lane. There we go. Quick wipe. I'm going to stamp the sentiment in Shady Lane too. Put that down the bottom there. Give that a wipe. Right, so now I come to the colouring. I'm going to use a similar colour to the VersaFine for colouring the leaves. Right, that's the leaves, and now we're going to use 2 pinks. We're going to use a very sort of neutral pink, like a skin colour, and a darker pink for the flowers. Right, at this point I would normally add some stickles onto here, but because I want to stick it onto the card, I'm going to stick it down first and then add the stickles after. It takes a while to dry. So let's start with this one. So, and then I'm going to use my stickles. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit in the centre and a few little bits on the ends of the flowers there. In the centre. There we go. And then we'll just let that dry. So these are the cards that we've made today. One, two, three, four, five. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.